Multi-vector integration is Kazakhstan's chosen course of development, and the program, Single Market. To search for a grain of reason in everything. And in times of economic integration, this approach is a key instrument for coordinating joint activities. Hello, my name is Pavel Koktashev. In today's program, rules of the game, Eurasian Economic Union, a free trade zone. The Navigator, fundamentals of the wheat market. Armenia, the fishing industry. Two and a half months ago, the session of the Council of the Heads of Eurasian Economic Union states was marked by the historical signing of the first international agreement on preferential conditions within the framework of a free trade zone. Which countries signed this agreement with the Eurasian Economic Union, and what prospects does it propose to the potential participants of the free trade zone? Our correspondent in Moscow brings us the story. Not to sit around and wait for winds of change, but to actively participate in improving the trade environment with countries that want to cooperate with the new integration association. This idea was expressed back when the agreement on establishing the Eurasian Economic Union was being signed. And today, the project of a free trade zone is becoming a reality. But before getting into the details, a little prologue. A free trade zone. This is an international integration association within the framework of which, after the signing of the main agreement, the participant countries remove customs duties and other barriers to trade, with the exception of some rare cases. However, the member countries retain the right to independently decide on their trade relations with other countries that are not a part of this zone.
Мы видим это как такой большой глобальный тренд в современной мировой торговле.
It seems that this is a global trend in world trade. Many countries are entering such agreement, and very soon it will become the main format of interaction between states. There are many examples of free trade zones in the world today. For example, NAFTA, which is an agreement between US, Canada, and Mexico, or the Baltic Free Trade Zone, an agreement between Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania. As it is traditionally done with these types of agreements, there are provisions regarding not only trade tariffs, but also technical regulations, standards, sanitary requirements, investment measures, and other various measures for ensuring healthy market competition. Concerning the free trade zone, which became the Eurasian Economic Union, partnership within this format was envisioned before concrete steps towards integration were taken. But it was only at the end of May of this year that the free trade zone began functioning in real-time mode on the Eurasian economic space. An agreement was signed in Kazakhstan during a meeting of the heads of states between Vietnam and the Eurasian Economic Union. The agreement lists 90 goods items, half of which are relieved from customs duties for a short transition period. The second half is also relieved of customs duties once the agreement enters into force.
Речь касается машиностроительной продукции прежде всего, и там автомобильной в частности продукции.
We're talking about machine building equipment, trade and technical goods, also agricultural products, dairy products, which is, for example, of interest to Belarus, grain and flour, which is of interest to Kazakhstan and Russia. One of the positive nuances of this Trade Integration Association is expressed in the fact that the goods structures of the Eurasian Economic Union and Vietnam are not in competition with each other, but complement each other. This can be noted in every cooperation option, including the Vietnam-Kazakhstan scheme.
Và có thể nói là chúng ta có thể hợp tác trong nhiều lĩnh vực.
Both countries have good partnership potential. Vietnam has sea products, coffee, natural rubber, sewn products, and shoes, while Kazakhstan is successfully operating in the oil and gas sector, ore mining complex, and the advanced technology sector. Plenty of options exist for trade. Within the framework of the Free Trade Zone, the Eurasian Economic Union countries will have an opportunity to enter the markets of other Southeast Asian countries through Vietnam. Concerning deeper refining, then there are new prospects of the ASEAN market. That is already more than 500 million people. Today, the Eurasian Economic Commission and the related institutions of China, India, Israel, and Egypt are conducting joint research on the trade potential within the framework of a free trade zone. By the way, already around 40 countries have expressed an interest in establishing a free trade zone with the Eurasian Economic Union. The free trade zone promises its members not only instantaneous benefits, its principles are aimed at the development of long-term partnership relations and new forms of interaction that may go beyond the framework of plain trade relations. It is precisely these prospects of a free trade zone which represent a great value. Yelena Polyakova, Denis Fokin, Moscow, exclusively for Single Market. Experts and traders consider the wheat market as one of the most volatile markets. It is greatly influenced not only by the rapidly changing supply and demand, but also weather conditions. What are the trends of today's world wheat market, and what will the next harvest season bring? Our navigator, Alexander Galiev, sheds some light on this topic. In the recent period, the global wheat market has undergone radical changes. Mostly Russia is to blame. Our Eurasian Economic Union partner practically stormed its way to the 4th place in the world top 10 producers. Last year, Russia's wheat production volumes reached 59 million tons. In just one season, growth reached 55%. Correspondingly, Russia's export capacities have increased. The final results of the year are being summarized, but Russia has all the chances of exporting almost 23 million tons of wheat during the 2014 to 2015 season. This volume will put Russia in 3rd place on the rating of the world's largest exporters after the European Union and the US. However, in the new marketing year, which began in July, doubt may be cast over these plans. The grasshopper plague and drought may hold Russia back from the alluring prospects. And now about the situation in Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is in 8th place among the world's top 10 producers, and we are still the largest breadbasket of Central Asia. According to the forecast of the country's Ministry of Agriculture, the upcoming harvest will not be less than last year's, more than 17 million tons. And export will reach 7 million tons. The main export markets are our Central Asian neighbors, countries of the Near East, European Union, as well as Azerbaijan, Russia, and China. By the way, Kazakhstan is not just a supplier of grains, but also flour. More than 1 million tons of flour have already been shipped for export. Coming back to the global market, the U.S. Ministry of Agriculture is forecasting that the global production of wheat in this marketing year will reach record levels of 720 million tons. Chicago's SRW July wheat futures stood at $187.6 per ton. In the conditions of a high-yield crop season, exporters are faced with the tasks of diversifying their portfolios, which is of paramount importance. China has promised to lower its wheat exports this year by more than 5 million tons. This is unsettling for Kazakhstani traders, who consider China as a stable, large market with a logistical infrastructure that is convenient for us. But there are reasons to be optimistic. Construction of the railway line Kazakhstan-Turkmenistan-Iran. According to experts, with the optimization of logistics, Kazakhstan's wheat export volumes to the south will double. And with Iran acting as a transit window to the markets of Afghanistan, India, and Pakistan, the Kazakhstan's export prospects are even more interesting. My name is Alexander Galiev. Until next time on Single Market.
До встречи в Single Market.
Fish farming is an important part of the agro-industrial complex of Armenia. Last year, around 14,000 tons of fish were produced. It should be noted that this was production of valuable commercial fish, rainbow and golden trout, Siberian and Russian sturgeon. Our correspondent from Yerevan, Elina Kazaryan, will tell us in more details about the realities and prospects of Armenia's fish farming. The high-altitude Sivan Lake is often called the gem of Armenia. Every year, thousands of tourists from all around the world come to revel in its beauty. However, back in the days, the lake was just as famous for its rich resources of fish. At the beginning of the 90s, the fish resources in the Sevan Lake reached almost 30,000 tons. Active use of its water resources, including for power generation, disrupted the local ecosystem, and poaching during the spawning season have changed the situation for the worse. According to official data, the overall volume of fish now barely reaches 500 tons. Today, the fishing problems of the Sevan Lake are being addressed at the governmental level. Within the framework of a comprehensive program, it is planned not only to restore the population of the Sevan trout, but to breed it on industrial levels. 3 years ago, a pilot project was launched here on artificial breeding of fish right in the lake. Fish hatcheries were placed at the depth of 8 meters on floating pontoons not far from the shore. Regular feeding, water quality control, and the study of gravel samples from the bottom of the lake. In these conditions, over a year, the weight of baby trout reaches 600 grams. The result of our research are very promising. They also show that it is possible to breed fish this way without harming the ecosystem of the lake. In the future, there are plans to establish more than 70 farms to breed Sevan trout using the cage culture fishery method. By 2023, production of commercial fish is expected to reach 50,000 tons annually. The entire cycle of production from the breeding stock to baby trout that weigh approximately 50 grams will be set up on a territory of 3,600 square meters. The project is unprecedented not only in terms of its scale, but also its production technologies.
Так сказать, наилучшая доступная технология на сегодняшний день вообще в мире. То есть полная рециркуляция воды.
This is the best technology that is available in the world today. Full recycling of water, around 98.5% of water, will be recycled and will use only 1.5% of fresh water. One production cycle will result in up to 50 tons of baby fish. In the future, this volume will increase to 300 tons per year. Part of the fish will be let out into the lake to restore the population and increase the reserves of commercial fish, whereas the rest will be bred in the fish farms. The main goal: processing, production of caviar and canned goods, as well as sale of live and smoked fish. In order to do this, soon another plant will be built on the territory near the lake. The state will allocate $7.6 million for the realization of this program. In the last 5 years, the volumes of fish production in Armenia doubled. More than 200 fish farms operate in the country, the total water surface area of which exceeds 3,500 hectares. Crystal clear water, which undergoes additional degasification and oxygen enrichment with the help of these aerators, guarantees the quality of the fish products and their taste. And the optimal temperature regime of the water ensures their fast growth. We take the water from an artesian well, which is practically drinking water, and use these ceramic rings to purify the water of harmful nitrogen compounds. The annual capacity of this farm is about 200 tons, out of which more than 150 tons are sturgeon fish. Here, high-quality black caviar is also produced, which has already received its acclaim at international exhibitions. We are hoping that after Armenia's accession to the Eurasian Union, cost-efficient shipment schemes will be developed in order to deliver our products to consumers in our partner countries and beyond. Consequently, the sale markets of our products will expand. Last year, Armenia exported 3,000 tons of fish. Its products reached consumers in Russia and neighboring Georgia. Gradually, Kazakhstan's market is also being navigated. In the future, it will be possible to produce up to 100,000 tons of fish bred in these aqua farms. Therefore, Armenia is planning to become one of the top producers on the global market of production and export of trout, sturgeon, and black caviar. Elena Kazaryan, Tigran Galstyan, Gurgin Vardanyan, exclusively for Single Market from Armenia. That is all for today. Kind reminder, all the episodes of our program are available on www.kazakh-tv.kz. Until next time on Single Market, a territory without borders.